Recognized as a pioneer of the digital media revolution of the 1990s and early 2000s, Chad Steelberg is chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Veritone, a company built with vision and personal passion for machine learning and AI. Critical elements that offer boundless benefits in every field of human endeavor. Law enforcement to national security, environment and energy to healthcare, and a spectrum of commercial applications as well. Today, Veritone provides products and solutions that provide customers in government and business some of the most advanced machine learning and AI solutions available on the planet. Please welcome to the stage for a CES Government 2020 Focus on Technology, Veritone Chief Executive Officer, Chad Steelberg.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice seeing you. Thank you. Good morning. Well, I am extremely pleased to be here this morning for my third year in a row. And today I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes with the gentleman on stage here discussing some of the insights and learnings that I've been able to ascertain on the front lines of the artificial intelligence revolution that we've been battling for the last 5 years, with the primary goal of providing you all with some insights and some tools to make better decisions about how you're attacking your AI initiatives. On stage with me today, Veritone has 3 of its strategic partners, Microsoft, Deloitte, and Oracle. All 3 brand new partners to us in the last 12 months, who are really here on this stage collectively, titans in their own rights in the federal government, to talk about the key highlights about how they're going to be impacting America's efforts to remain competitive in artificial intelligence going forward. Over the past 5 years, Veritone has developed the first operating system for artificial intelligence. This operating system has several applications, roughly about 24 that run upon it today, and it's been deployed across the world to roughly about 150 different locations. Many of those customers are government agencies, and they're seeing spectacular results. Today, that AIware is becoming now a new standard in government AI deployments, both at the local, state, and federal levels. With these new partners that we have, not only are we marrying AIware's capabilities, but now with the capacity of these companies to roll that out on a global basis at scale in ways that can directly transform your missions in real time. Before we get started too much further, I think it's important for us to start at the end of this story for artificial intelligence. And the end for artificial intelligence is really general intelligence. Many of you know this as the singularity in terms of vernacular. The singularity is the point at which the machine surpasses the human, both in terms of its cognitive and its knowledge capabilities. The path to this is not well defined. On this stage today, every one of these corporations, including my own, and nation states, whether it be China, Israel, Russia, the UK, is actively pursuing general intelligence and the singularity. This is an arms race, but the end state of that arms race is not well defined. We don't know where the finish line resides today. But in my experience of deploying hundreds of AI solutions around the world, I've come to realize that there are some key tenets to the pursuit of that singularity that we should discuss today. The first is that it is not going to happen in a research lab. The path to the singularity, rather, is about collaboration and about sharing insights through that research. And it will not originate in a Big Bang. The Big Bang theory is really a myth. Instead, what we're talking about is artificial intelligence and general intelligence itself is really about a fabric of intelligence that spans across hundreds of thousands, if not millions of processes where AI has been deployed. And with every step along that path, from the first deployment to the last, you need a framework that continues to learn from every single deployment, getting better and smarter with regards to its capabilities to inform the end user about how humans can trust the AI, and then more importantly, how that artificial intelligence begins to evolve itself. So let's drill down into these processes. The billions of processes that exist in this world today are basically humans found in loops. I gave this talk last year, and essentially a human in a loop is a person who is providing that cognitive service in any process in any of your organizations. As AI gets introduced to this, what happens is that human begins to abdicate control of that process and that cognitive skill to the AI, and they move from being in the loop to on the loop. Many of you know this as kind of whether it be a shared type cognition, and the final end state is where the human moves completely out of the process and it becomes automated, and that is the human out of the loop altogether. So in this process, what we've been able to do, again, through hundreds of deployments, we've become aware that there are 4 key ingredients to successful deployments of artificial intelligence. And again, each successful deployment of artificial intelligence is a step along that continuum towards the singularity. The first is the need for unlimited compute power. On stage with me today, I have a colleague from Microsoft, Rick Zack, Director of Justice, Public Safety and Solutions for Microsoft, who will talk a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. The cloud has really transformed several things. The way that solutions get delivered now moves from a world where you think about backing up in case it goes down to a world where it's distributed and backed up and replicated across multiple data centers so it doesn't go down. The first piece. The second one is the cloud has now transformed the capabilities of those solutions in the first place. Hardware and software are now bound together in a way that didn't happen before. To support that, to support the computing power, and I'll provide Microsoft's perspective on this, and you can see the stats here, which is it's reach and depth at the same time. So 55 data center regions, each of which has many data centers operating around the world, the ability to reach into 140 countries. And to give you some sense of scale, sometimes when we talk about data center, people think of a building. And it goes to Chad's point about having the compute, that elastic compute capability. There's a data center complex in the US for Microsoft that isn't so much a building as it is a small town where all the buildings are data centers. So I want to give you some sense of the elastic capacity to support all those high-end capabilities that Chad's talking about. But with that comes a real responsibility to get security and compliance right. You see some of the compliance standards. It drives us to put in the controls and the processes to support more than 90 compliance standards around the world. In the US, critical ones, DoD, DISA up to level 5, FedRAMP, ITAR, we can go on and on and on. And the CESG security policy from the FBI, critically important in a context with our work with Veritone, we talk about criminal justice information. And there I would say that's where the high bar is when you think about not just working to avoid the requirements, but to embrace them, implement them, and contractually bind yourself. This is why when we bring software together with hardware, with partners, with criminal justice, other public safety agencies, with federal agencies, you get the trust among everyone because it's a shared accountability. Where that brings us together is this idea of being able to unlock value in data that already exists in the systems for public safety, for defense and intelligence agencies that is in some ways laying dormant. How do you unlock the value? By applying cognitive capabilities like Veritone's against it in a way that goes from locking data away to unlocking it. But I want to make a really important point and reinforce what Chad said. It's not to take the person out. It's to make the person more productive, more effective, more efficient from, as Chad put it, from in the loop where they're doing the work to on the loop where they're guiding the work of the AI and then benefiting from the compressing the time to insight into action. And when we think about a world of public safety, compressing that time to insight and action saves lives. And doing it all in a way that supports some key principles: privacy, accountability, transparency, reliability, inclusiveness, fairness. These are all the things that underpin what gets done in AI. The result, when we think about where Veritone is, and I'm going to move ahead to the solutions here. As we think about the Veritone solutions, and this is what I want you to focus on. I'm going to go back where I started, which is to truly understand what they're delivering. The power of bringing together Veritone, Microsoft, is this idea of where the cloud started. Cloud is hardware, running your solutions in somebody else's data center. Great first place for the cloud. It's what happened after that that unlocks all this power. It's the idea that the cloud is now a platform, neutral, common platform to bring stakeholders together. Very powerful. It is now bringing its own unique capabilities that can only or be best be delivered through the cloud in a cloud scale. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT. When you bring those things together, you get something very powerful, and you see it in front of you on the screen here, which is the ability that not only to have one agency unlock the value of its own digital assets, but to collaborate across boundaries, across agencies, across so many different boundaries. So instead of having data locked in the digital drawer, it's now a shared asset, driving better outcomes, driving them more quickly. And the result of being able to unlock the power of the cloud, deliver new capabilities, and do it with security and compliance is safer communities, citizens, and responders, and a nation. Chad?
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. You know, to recap that, there are 3 applications that we have running on top of aiWARE in the Azure deploy. The first is Veritone Identify, the second one is Redact, and the third is Illuminate. Since deploying that, we have caught hundreds and hundreds of suspects and violent offenders by being able to ID individuals through facial recognition and other AI mechanisms against known offenders' databases. We've expedited the prosecution of those individuals and thousands more through our redaction technology. So redaction usually takes roughly 10 man-hours per every hour of video that you're trying to redact or audio. We now have compressed that down to a 1-to-1 time using AI to remove personally identifiable information from evidence. And lastly, Illuminate is a product that is able to ingest any form of data, unstructured and structured, and begins to surface through anomaly detection insights for investigators to start to pursue. So with those 3 applications living inside the cloud, many of the agencies that we deal with, both at the federal and local level, have data and information that they never want to go to the cloud. And so one of the beautiful things about aiWARE is it's a completely federated operating system. It can run on your laptop just as easily. It can run on the cloud and all interconnected. With that, one of the other tenets of the future of AI deployment that's required in addition to infinite compute is really the ability to access in near real time massive amounts of data. And a corporation that is synonymous with federal government data and instantaneous access is Oracle. So please help me welcome up Ryan Jannise from Oracle.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It's always a pleasure being at this conference with this constituency. And there's only 3 things, and this is a huge topic. We could spend days speaking about this. What we're trying to communicate to all of you today is it's very difficult to imagine AI being brought into production for the military-industrial complex by one particular company, by one particular offering. And so you see some incredible corporations on stage, and the 3 things that I want to talk about that dovetail into what Greg said earlier today, what Chuck spoke about just a few minutes ago. And, you know, we have a little bit to say about data, and we take our custodialship of that data for the government incredibly seriously. So I want to talk about data for 1 second. I want to talk about security, and then I want to talk about cloud. If you're going to bring AI to a meaningful place in this marketplace, you need to be able to feed the engine, the cognitive engine in the AI domain, with a vast amount of data. We're entering the 3rd decade of the 21st century. We no longer measure data latency, read writes in milliseconds. We are in the single-digit microsecond space of giving data to those that need it. The cognitive engine is like our most senior analyst. In the intelligence space, there's a white book where they show their work. They've spent decades learning the domain. And we have systematically partitioned the data that those analysts need to give it to them because they have a need to know. And it's taken them a long time to build their experience set. We are now able to support the analysts in this space by having a cognitive engine run across the vastness of the data, any format, spatial data, relational data, financial data, human intelligence data. You name the data source, the cognitive engine can go through that, and we just have to worry about the integrity of that data, which brings me up to security. You know, I think it was General Kelly earlier that said the Super Bowl for some very bad actors would be downing an American airline over an ocean. This space is so rapidly evolving, some of the bad actors would do nothing but change our algorithms so that we, in a decision support structure, make the wrong decisions. We see that a lot right now coming out of Russia. All they're doing is manipulating the data so that we have a different decision support matrix, and they're disrupting a lot of what we're doing. The security of that data and where that data resides and how to expose that data to artificial intelligence engines like the very powerful one that Veritone has developed means that it may not be economically feasible to put all of that data into a single cloud and then try to cross-connect it, because the government has enough legacy data that if we tried to pay for all of that to go into a cloud, you can imagine the cost. So the cloud is required for this to be successful, period. There's no one that I think doubts that AI is going to be able to run on-prem in a legacy contained environment on a TS enclave where there are only 15 people that have access to the data. That's not going to work. But if we're going to get to actionable artificial intelligence, a term that we use on my team, A2I, is where I am really interested in getting to. So the data to feed the engine needs to be vast. It needs to be super fast. It needs to be incredibly secure. And it needs access to the cloud. Cloud-adjacent strategies allow us, with our technology base, to take all of the data, put it in a secure, contained area, and expose that data to any cloud, every cloud, without migrating vast amounts of data between the clouds. So those three tenets that we focus on every day is to do nothing but improve the decision support for the military-industrial complex that I'm personally responsible for from the infrastructure side of our technology offering. Our interconnect that we've announced with Azure means that a Veritone running in Azure connected to a cloud-adjacent architecture where we put petabytes of data, structured, unstructured, Hadoop data, every type of data, means that the customers that we support are going to get a lot faster answer. And so thank you very much for the opportunity. I look forward to working with any and all of you as we move forward. And Chad, this has been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. So Ryan didn't click on the button, but I'll click on the button for him. And so I think the picture that we are looking at here was, this is where we left off with Microsoft, which is a cloud. You're moving your data into the cloud, and you have cloud-based applications where you have intelligence now moving back and forth between those apps and the use cases. What the Oracle story really talks about is these data lakes and applications and infrastructure that sits below in private. And what happens is, because aiWare can run inside of those contained facilities, they basically can provide the same level of intelligence to those data lakes without having to connect to a cloud, but still allow all of that intelligence to be shared across all organizations as a framework. Does that work for you? Sweet. The third leg of the stool that we have found, again, every process we touch with AI, there is usually a human. In fact, every one we've ever done, there is a human in the center of a loop. And so you can never underestimate the third leg of this, which is really the human experience. Defining the use case, what's the applications, providing the training materials, building, in fact, the applications, and then migrating and working with that staff to successfully transition. So please help me welcome Patrick McCullough from Deloitte.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
It's my privilege to be here and represent the over 15,000 individuals within Deloitte that are currently servicing all of our federal, state, local higher education clients across the civilian, defense, security, justice, state, local higher education market. Whenever we go to market with our clients, our goal is always to be that trusted advisor. We want to bring the innovation, the disruption that Chad's talking about. And we do that by partnering with elite technology, many if not all that are represented in this room. We've heard several instances this morning, a lot of people have referenced it. Not only is the data growing in size, but it's growing in complexity. And there is simply not the capacity within the investigations, the discovery world that I'm supporting our clients in for us to work with that data in the traditional way with the traditional human environment. And so that's why we have partnered with someone like Veritone, because we recognize that no longer can we sit there and allow either our government client or ourselves to simply cull through that data in the traditional manner. An instance, we were supporting a financial crime investigation, and we were presented with over 20,000 foreign language emails. As was referenced this morning, you have no idea if those emails are birthday invitations or critical mission information. In the traditional environment, you would have had to either put those emails aside and risk losing important information, or you would have had to have gone to that natural foreign language and go through it. Instead, we partnered with Veritone in this instance, and within hours had that information translated, and then we're able to run analytics through to it to cull aside that 98% of the data that was really not relevant and get to that 2% of the data that helped our government investigator prove that matter. Similarly, we've been supporting the Department of Justice. In partnership with Chad and the Veritone team, we recently rolled out support to all 94 districts of the EOUSA attorneys, allowing them the access to this technology. Previously, within discovery and investigations, we were worried much more about the written word, the structured, the unstructured emails. Today, audio, video, social media data, that's all coming into play. And again, you simply cannot work through that in the traditional manner. And so the final point I want to make is all this, though, as we've been stressing, requires a secure environment. Everyone in here probably knows that the FedRAMP process, it's not perfect. It's not flawed. Deloitte was one of the first to take our e-discovery platform to market in the FedRAMP environment. When Chad and team and I started talking about how we go to market together, I told them, guys, the first thing we got to do is get FedRAMP certified. I was impressed that your team made that investment, Chad, and I know it's going to serve the government clients.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks. Appreciate it. So I'll click ahead. So we do have a little picture here of that actually occurring. So Department of Justice is now connected to FedRAMP instance of aiWare in partnership with Deloitte, and we're actually processing cases for them now. So again, aiWare is not a point solution. It is a framework. It has over 400 different cognitive engines on it today. All of you can build engines with our tools on that platform that you own proprietarily and can deploy at scale. So the fourth and final piece of this puzzle is really that operating system. The secret to enabling the computational success that we've seen through the computer revolution was the invention of the operating system. The ability to have a separation between the hardware infrastructure and the applications that we use. That same exact metaphor is going to take place in this cognitive revolution. You need to separate the concern between the AI models and the applications and the users that are using them. Our tools and our operating system today, again, interoperates with all clouds, all local providers. It interoperates with models developed by the Israelis. We have Chinese models on the platform. We have our own models on the platform. And in fact, we have US government models as well. The applications that sit on top of that are also built by ourselves and our partners, truly as an OS that's native to the AI revolution that we're living in. So in conclusion, what I think would be great was, for me personally, is for all of you to take a moment and identify in your organizations, what is that one human-in-the-loop process that you would love to see solved with AI? Right? I know I have mine, but what's yours? Is it baggage analysis? Is it the ability to optimize microgrid power regulation? Which, by the way, we have models for that on our platform. Where is your pain point? Because what's represented on this stage today are through 4 separate corporations, each with unique and distinct skill sets that have collaborated on numerous projects successfully in AI. And never before have you seen this level of I'm going to use the term frenemies. I mean, in my growing up, I used to think of Microsoft and Oracle as groups that would never be on stage together, frankly. You're looking at a new age where AI is the dominant verb that everyone is pursuing. So if you have that thing that you're trying to solve, that one human in the loop, you have 4 corporations, contact any of them up here. We would love to lean in and help you solve that. More importantly, that solution that we deliver is also one step further on our path to that singularity, which is absolutely mission critical to the success of America going forward to remain a superpower. Thank you.